Good. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to have that happen in everybody's ears. I guess that's what happens when you don't talk for a couple hours and then all of a sudden start talking out loud. Anyway, good morning. Let's see. I saw Tire pop in and Retro's in, of course. Good to see y'all. Let's see here. What's the morning notes already from you guys? Okay. All right. So anyway, this is going to be an interesting stream, guys. All right. There's I had so much to pick from for today. I know the other day I was telling the wife that right now we're getting into silly season. Well, we've been into silly season here, but now we're getting into stupidity season. Silly season. I used to call silly season when we started having, uh, starting about a year out from the actual election days. But I mean, we've been in silly season now for the past 2 years. So I don't know what in the hell to call this besides stupid season, but stupid season is what I always called it that last month or so just before the election. But I mean, we're already getting stupid. I'd like to think my streams are interesting, Tyre. I really do. But they're interesting to me at least. First thing I want to bring up today, and this is a bill by let let me go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to pull up what I found on the congressional website first. All right. This is the congressional website. All right. All information except text, except for H.R. 6191, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to impose an excise tax on excessively disparate wages paid to chief executive officers. All right. So let it was introduced on the 2nd, just 4 days ago. And who all sponsored this bill or co sponsored? Of course, we have AOC, then Maxwell Frost from Florida. No surprise here, Eleanor Norton Holmes, our terrorist in chief, Rashid Tlaib, idiot in chief, the fire starter, Sheila Jackson Lee, the most idiotic Indian I've ever met in my life, Jayapal, and then the man who should be in prison, awaiting trial, awaiting, as so many other people were for years on end for attempting to interfere with the actions of Congress, Jamal Bowman. These are all people wanting to, they co sponsored this bill. But the problem is, when you go to look for the bill, to read this bill, they won't release the words of the actual bill itself. Yeah, Tyler, I was going to talk about that later on. That's on my list of if I've got fun things, if I've got time to bring up. But you beat me to it. Yep. Uh, he wants to be the senator from California, pencil neck, googly eye shift. Wants to be the senator from California, but he lives in Maryland. I mean, California has already shown that they don't care where you actually live as long as your politics is right. So, well, Neil, welcome, buddy. I haven't seen you around in a while. But what I was able to find this morning, uh, is a 2-page synopsis of this bill, and a couple more names on it. We've got Senator Sheldon Whitehouse and Representative Barbara Lee. All right, and this is what they got to say this act is supposed to do. Since 1978, economic productivity has outpaced workers' wages by more than 4 times. Hey, that's a good thing. That means as a country, we get things done quicker and easier. People are more productive. For CEO pay, it's a different story. Executive pay has soared by over 1,209%, over 18 times as much as productive growth, and outpacing the growth of the stock market, even the pay of the top 0.01%. The 0.1%, I'm sorry. In 2021, as millions suffer from the pandemic and unemployment rate climbed to its highest level since the Great Depression, thank you, Democrats. Thank you, you fear mongers. CEOs earned 399 times the pay of the median worker in their industry, the highest disparity of the last century. But it always wasn't that way. In 1965, the average CEO only made 21 times the amount made by their typical worker. So this here's what the charts, all right? Typical workers' wages starting here at 1979. All right. Now they only go up to 2019 here, not to 2022, which they do have. I mean, we all filed 2022 tax. They should have these numbers. Economy-wide productivity, corporate profits. Okay, yeah, corporate profits up, down, up, down, up, down. Not, some very good years, some rather poor years. Oh, good years here, down here. Nothing fantastic. Top 1% pay. All right. Then CEO pay. And yeah, they don't even show it. Went off the chart here, off their chart back in 1989. The average CEO has an income of $25.2 million in salary, bonuses, stock awards, and stock options in 2022. Now, as always, and we're not dummy here, okay? Stock awards and stock options. That's not money. That's not money until you sell those stocks. We all know that. We all know it's not cash in your pocket until you sell them. And then you're only going to get whatever your stock is worth. So if your stock is tanking, you're not going to get squat. I mean, yeah, it's showing that you're worth that much, but that's only on paper. You don't actually have that money in your bank account. And then if you want to sell your stock, you have to let the government know that you're selling your stock as a CEO. And you have to tell them why you're selling your stock. You have to get permission. Excuse me for a second. I'm sorry there. You actually have to get permission from the government to sell your stock. Now, I've never owned enough stock to make it, to make a hill of beans so that, you and I, we don't have to worry about that. But CEOs, that's one of the things, the government makes them get permission. You got AOC. She doesn't have to get permission to sell her stock. She just has to report it. Exactly, Retro. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in the fourth quarter of 2022, the average full-time worker made $56,000, with another $25,000 in non-wage compensation. That's a CEO to median worker economy ratio of 308 to 1. The average CEO only needs to work one day to make what the average worker makes in 10 months. All right. If you're a CEO of a company, I should have done this. I should have looked this up to see what the average number of employees that a company with a CEO has. I should have looked that up because that CEO is responsible for the jobs of every one of those employees. If that CEO makes bad business decisions, Walt Disney, Budweiser, he is affecting the jobs of hundreds, if not thousands, of employees. Yeah, I said Budweiser and Disney. Look at what's happened to their brands over the past couple of years. Budweiser has lost money hand over fist to the point they had to sell a couple of their smaller companies. Disney has lost money hand over fist to the point that there is a ongoing threat of a hostile takeover to replace the CEO again. I don't remember people's names and all that involved with Disney. Go check out Neurotic and Midnight's Edge and Doom, and he can those guys will have all those the ins and outs of what's going on with Disney and the hostile takeover going on over there. Exactly right. You're very good, Tyre. That's a great way of putting it. The CEO is the brain. If he fails, the whole body dies. And we've seen what's happened when the CEOs screw up and make huge mistakes. People start losing their jobs. Not because they've screwed up, not because they want to lose their jobs, but because the CEO makes the company fail. Now, oh, I'm not bootlicking or kissing arse here on the CEOs. I'm just saying, the CEO is not just sitting there behind his desk getting a BJ from the secretary and getting paid all this money. The CEO makes a lot of decisions on a day-to-day basis that affects hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of jobs. Okay. Today, unions across the country are striking for better pay and benefits while decrying the massive growth of CEO pay in their respective industries. Unions, for the most part, are worthless. Now, I will have to admit, I've gotten a little bit more knowledgeable about the actors and the screenwriters unions and what they're going for, and I have to agree that uh, with parts of the stuff they're coming for in their strikes, because it's not just the actors, the Tom Cruises and uh, Scarletts and all these other people that you know. There's smaller people, smaller actors down the road that don't make those big serious bucks that were getting royally screwed over. And the companies were making lots and lots of money because they've managed to find wiggle room in the contracts that they've done. And this whole mess with AI, God, uh, was it Scarlett Johansson that just won a lawsuit because a company did an AI um, impersonation of her in their ads? And even though they had it labeled as this is not the real Scarlett Johansson, this is an AI computer driven model of her, they still got forced to take it down. So but still, I'm not a huge fan of unions for the most part anymore. The UAW strike is focusing attention on skyrocketing executive pay while workers' wages have fallen dramatically. In 2022, General Motors and Ford Motor had CEO pay ratios of 362 and 281, respectively. Well, if the boards did not believe the CEOs were worth that much, they wouldn't have been paying them that much. So anyway, we'll get through, those last couple paragraphs. They still talk about how, bad CEO, bad CEO. And am I saying, anybody should get paid what they're good point, retro. Good point. Um, like Trump said back in when debating Hillary. These guys pay the taxes they're required to pay as the tax code is written. And the Democrats and Republicans will not change the tax code too much because all their big donors don't want them to. Their big time donors don't want them. And a lot of these, especially the Democrats, how many of these companies, CEOs, donate hugely to the Democratic Party? So let's get down here to it. This is what this bill, okay, these are the broad points. I do not have the exact terminology, the exact bill, because they haven't released it yet. Applies an excise tax on publicly traded and private companies with over 100 million in gross receipts and 10 million in payroll, which have at least a 50-to-1 CEO to median worker pay disparity. The tax rate imposed is proportional to the executive compensation. All right, all right, let's see here the examples. In 2022, Coca-Cola CEO James Quincy made 22.8 million in compensation, 1,883 times compensation of Coca-Cola's median worker. Coca-Cola would pay a tax of $407 million. Pfizer from 2022, the same year, would have paid a tax of 113 million. Goldman Sachs would have paid a tax of 38.9 million. Now what let they're wanting to tax the companies for pay. Now, do I think a CEO is worth all this money? That depends on the company. And as the CEO making the company more profit I mean, like anybody else, there's only a very, very few people that are qualified to step into the position of a CEO. Very few people. I'm not qualified to step into a CEO seat. AOC isn't qualified to step into the seat of being a CEO. Who were these other people that co-sponsored this bill? Um, where is it? Eleanor Norton Holmes, damn sure not qualified. Rashid Tlaib, could you imagine Rashid Tlaib sitting in as the CEO of McDonald's or Coca-Cola, Disney Company? Sheila Jackson Lee, Jay Appel, you know, Bowman. Now, I don't know Maxwell Frost, so I don't know what it'd be like making him a. Oh, that's okay. Scared me for a minute. I just got a notice on my watch about a doctor's appointment, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And that's not until the 9th. So November 9th, I will not be here for a stream because I've got an appointment with my neurologist. But anyway, none of these five people that co-sponsored this bill on the House side would ever be fit to run in as a CEO of a Coca-Cola, of a Pfizer, of a Goldman Sachs. None of them. Yet they want to sit there and say that they know how much these CEOs should be paid. Granted, I mean, I could not imagine being paid $22 million a year, or $407 million a year, or $33 million a year. And remember, this is compensation. This is including your stocks that have no value, no real value until you sell them. They have, stock options. You've got those stock options are worthless until you actually buy them. Exercise your option to buy. So there's no, I mean, that's not money in the bank. That is not money that you're saying there you can go out and buy a yacht or a building or a car with. Because you either have to buy stocks, exercise your options to buy stocks, or ask permission from the government to sell your stock. So they're wanting to tax an intangible, something that has no value at that moment. It'd be like wanting to come in and say, your house is worth $50,000. All right. And since so many people can't, they can't afford to own a house, we're going to throw another tax on top of you. You've got 50,000. I'm thinking 30 years ago. $150,000 home, which is about, what I paid for my house 5 years ago. All right. Yeah, we'll use my house. 5 years ago, I bought my house for $150,000. Zillow just told me it's now worth $290,000. So it's almost doubled in value in the price over 5 years. So that would be the government coming in and telling me, well, your house has gone up in value, doubled in value over the past 5 years. Therefore, we're going to tax you an additional $10,000. We're going to throw an additional tax on you because the value of your home's gone. That the value of my home hasn't put any extra money in my pocket. It doesn't put any money in my pocket until I sell it. The value of your car, you've got an antique car sitting in your garage. That's what, you've got an old Dodge Charger, Mustang, GTO sitting in your garage, 1950s, 1960s. No, I don't count anything made in the 70s. These people, that's not worth. Yeah, that car may be worth $100,000, but it's not done you any good until you actually sell it. You can't use a picture of your car to go out and buy groceries. You actually have to sell that car. I actually have to sell my house for my house to be anything. But these people want to tax the stock that they own and the stock options that they own. Just getting their salary isn't enough. Just taxing their salary and their cash bonuses isn't enough. How exactly? I guess a good question just popped into my mind. Exactly how many CEOs worth? Let's just go. How many CEOs worth over $1 million? Okay. Make all right. There's 9 CEOs that make more than $100 million in 2022. How rich is the average CEO? Average CEOs of the S&P 500 on average makes $5 million a year. Okay. Oh no, the average makes 16 million. All right. How much do football players make? What was the average pay of a professional football player? Let's see here. The average pro football player makes $130,000 a year, and you've got Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. He is making $55 million a year. Are they going to tax the Cincinnati Bengals $55 million a year? That's more than Coca-Cola's James Quincy makes. That's more than Pfizer's Albert Bourla makes. That's more than Goldman Sachs' David Solomon makes. Wow. Are they going to come after these professional athletes? Are they going to tell these professional athletes that make CEO wages that they've got to increase their taxes? Okay, let's see. There's a huge difference: cash on hand and liquid assets. Exactly. I could have, like I said, I could have. I mean, if they, they could say, yeah, hey, Shroom, you're worth all said and done, you're worth $300,000. All said and done, and your house is the biggest part of that. Therefore, we're going to increase your taxes because your house is worth so much money, and there's so many people out there just can't afford to own a house. Oh, don't even get me started on that retro. Uh, Cleveland Browns, but that after all the money Ohio and Cleveland put in for the mistake by the lake, and then for the Browns going, mm, 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 mm. So are they going to go after the professional athletes? I mean, yeah, that should be next on the list. That should be next on their list. A CEO is only worth what the board of directors believes they are worth. And they're only worth that because of what they believe that that individual can do to make that company more profitable. And by becoming more profitable, by making more money for their shareholders. And when the shareholders make more money, when the company's more profitable, the country gets richer. Do I believe any one person is worth all that money? I can't do what they do. I can't be a CEO of a major company like that. I couldn't do it. The average employee that they're whining about here could not do what the CEO does. So, all right. But I want to also think of this, guys. Okay, retro, tire, nil. What type of government sits there and dictates how much a person can be paid? What kind of government is there that sits there and dictates how much an individual can be paid? It sure isn't a country that believes in freedom. It sure isn't a country that believes in the pursuit of happiness. And I don't care what anybody says. One of the things we all pursued and one of the things that we all look for, that we chase after to make ourselves happy, is more money in our pockets so we can uh, be more comfortable. Okay. Now let's get on to the next step here. The next thing here. Our First Amendment is taking a pretty serious hit here. And it's taking a hit by local governments. Not necessarily federal government, even though the federal government's doing its fair share. And okay, give me just a second here. As you know, this is Monday, and you know Monday is my infusion day. I think my needle is empty. Yes, it is. All right, I got to go make some noise here real quick and refill this. I got a question for you guys, okay? And I can't look at the screen right now because I'm over here at my kitchen table getting ready to fill up my syringe. My uh, medical company that sends me my medicine every month, they send me a month's worth at a time. I've been begging them now for 6 months, 7 months to send me at least 8 syringes a month. Because they only send me 4 because I only have to do this stuff uh, 4 times a month. Well, that means, but I've got 5 bottles that I have to fill up. Since they won't send me these uh, these syringes, is there any way that I can properly sterilize one that I can, sterilize them so that I can keep it from week to week to where I can have, like I said, I go through 5 bottles of this mess a week, every Monday. And sure would be nice if I had 5 syringes. I could sit there, fill up all 5 syringes, and then when one empties out, all I gotta do is pop the next one in. That sure would make life easy on me. A lot easier. I've even offered to pay out pocket for the extra syringes every month, and they won't do it. All right, I'm back to the computer. That didn't take me long at all. Yeah, fortunately, Neil, these are the fairly small needles, so all six of them going. And then I've also got the neuropathy, so I don't even feel them stuck into me. Oh no, no, I'm not talking about saving about the needles, retro. I'm just talking about the syringe itself. No. The needles are one-time use. I get up on Monday mornings. I stick all six needles in my gut, and then the syringe just connects to the tubing. All right, so let's get over here to this next thing here. All right, let's start. Let's start with Texas. Let's start with a mess in Texas here. Get back to here. Or do I want to go with Illinois? Now let's go with Illinois here first. Illinois story is just as good. It might even be a little. These are all good ones. Go share the screen. Thank you. Illinois City tickets a reporter for asking too many questions. Officials at a Chicago community have issued a municipal citations to a local news reporter for what they say are persistent contacts with city officials seeking comment on treacherous fall flooding. The tickets from Gallup City, all right, allege interference or hampering of city employees by Hank Sanders, reporter for the Daily Southern. The Chicago Tribune reported. It's the latest of several recent First Amendment Act dust-ups involving city officials and news outlets around the country. Following this week's arrest of a small-town Alabama newspaper publisher and reporter after reporting on a grand jury investigation of a school district, the August police raid of a newspaper in its publisher's home that that resulted in the death of the publisher's mother, who was also part owner of the newspaper, tied to a dispute with a restaurant owner. Sanders had reported in an October 20th story that consultants told the city administrators that the city's stormwater infrastructure was in poor condition before the flooding. Officials said Sanders continued to call and email city employees drawing complaints, including from Mayor Thaddeus Jones, who is also a state Democratic representative. Double dipping there, huh, Mayor? The Tribune, which shares an owner with the Daily Southtown, reported that Sanders was told to channel requests for information through Jones' spokesperson, but according to one citation, sent 14 emails to the city during a 9-day period asking questions about the flooding. Asking questions. A reporter for a newspaper. That's what he's supposed to do. If you don't like him asking questions, don't respond. Don't respond. But that, small town, they're not going to worry about this. This isn't going to happen. Well, now it's made national news. In this day and age of the internet, especially YouTube, TikTok, uh, X slash Twitter, everybody and anybody can be a reporter. But what goes on in these small towns is no longer restricted knowledge to that small town because it's going to get out there. That reporter may have followers in a dozen other cities or 2 dozen other cities. And he talks about getting hit up on tickets because he's asking too many questions of government employees. And I've said this before, y'all, anybody that's heard me talk for too long, you've heard me say this before. Anybody who draws a dime from the public tit, if their paycheck comes from the public treasury, from the dog catcher to the mayor to the uh, city manager, I hate the idea of we're hiring you to be our city manager. Then what the hell do we need a mayor for? What the hell do we need all these other people that we pay if we're going to hire a city manager to do their job? That's what we hire supposedly and vote for mayors. I still want somebody to explain to me why we need a city manager. I've asked. I've gone to city managers and asked them, "What do you do that our mayor can't do and shouldn't be doing or should be doing?" But here we go. We got this town outside Chicago writing tickets, summonings to a reporter for asking too many questions. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that, but I did it anyway. Oh no, what happened? Here we go. So the next one here. What is going on? I'm clicking this and that's popping up. Now we're popping over to Texas. You would think Texas wouldn't have too much of a issues. Wrong. Texas retiree takes her First Amendment fight to the Supreme Court. Now I've been following this case off and on for the past year. Sylvia Gonzalez out of Castle Hills, Texas. When she became concerned about a city manager's conduct, she ran for city council with a promise to fight for his removal. After Gonzalez won her election, she introduced a petition outlining the residents' concerns. This did not make the mayor and the police chief happy, so they looked for an opportunity to silence Gonzalez and arrested her when she accidentally put the petition in her personal binder after a public meeting. The alleged crime was tampering with government record. Now you sit there and you watch the video from this town hall, and this is on video. She tried to turn that petition over, and the individual she tried to hand the petition to waved it off. So she sat down with the rest of her paperwork. Then when the meeting was over, she gathered everything up, put it in her briefcase. As soon as they did that, the police chief was there to arrest her. Prosecutors, of course, realized that, hey, this is bogus, dismissed the case, but she still spent hours in jail. And they really, really demeaned this woman. They strip searched her. They put her in orange jumpers, put her in with the nastiest bathroom they could find. I mean, they really treated her like crap. Now, she tried to sue over this because she ended up losing her position on the city council. When she sued over this retaliation with the representative from the Institute for Justice, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals tossed her case before she had a chance to present any evidence. The reason, a 2-to-1 majority held that Gonzalez had failed to establish a violation of her First Amendment rights. How can she establish her First Amendment rights had been violated when they don't even talk to her? So they brought it up to the SCOTUS, and the SCOTUS agreed to hear it. The Supreme Court, the case will hinge on a simple principle: the freedom to criticize the government is at the core of the First Amendment. She's the right to bring grievances, to petition your government. Now, this isn't the first time I'm going to say this either. I'm of two minds here. I hate that when you go up before your city council, town hall meetings, I absolutely hate when they sit there and say you have to state your name, address, and you're limited to 2 minutes or you're limited to 3 minutes. You've got the right to petition your government. You've got the right to air your grievance. And sometimes what a person's got to say cannot be said in 2 or 3 minutes. But I also understand that if you've got 100 people standing in there in line, you've got even at 2 minutes per person, 100 people, 200 minutes. That's, let's see, 123. That's 4 hours. 3.5, 4 hours of listening to people talk. But if your town is so bad, there are so many people with so many grievances against what's going on in your town, then you should be listening to them. So in a way, I understand why you need to tell people, hey, you got a limited amount of time to stand there and tell us what you think is wrong, to air your grievance. But I also think that it should be, you know, how do you strike that balance between giving the person the time that they need versus not wanting to have an 8 to 12 hour bitch session pop up? Okay, so and this is kind of interesting here. Anyone with a high school diploma knows that arresting political opponents for their speech is a textbook example of violating the Constitution. What just happened to what's going on here with a certain individual with uh, a particular shade of skin that's on trial right now for words that he uttered? Simply because he is a political opponent of those who are in charge. In fact, he just got another fine, I think another $10,000 fine, because a judge didn't like what he had to say outside of the courtroom. Yeah, there's violations here. Now, and I've always found it amazing how defendants have these gag orders put on them. Judges sit there and say, you can't say this. You can't go out to the press and say this. You can't hold a meeting of your supporters and say something. But there's no gag order on the prosecution. Prosecutors can get out there and say whatever the hell they want to say. All right. Oh no. Is my am I still here? Am I still here? I don't know. Can y'all hear me? All right. I can't even tell if my screen is showing. Any, okay. Oh, all right. Let's see here. Noah Peterson, a young man in Newton, Iowa, became concerned about police conduct in 2022. Decided to voice his concerns at a city meeting. During public comment, he criticized the mayor and the police chief. Rather than listen, the mayor interrupted him. Then the police chief arrested, handcuffed, and jailed Peterson. So he said his response was necessary because Peterson did not want to leave the meeting. His alleged crime was disrupting a lawful assembly, yet Peterson was actually arrested because he dared to criticize the mayor and police chief. In Laredo, Texas, police chief arrested Priscilla Villarreal, a citizen journalist, because she posted government critiques on Facebook. In Cleveland, Ohio, William Fanborough was fined because he was campaigned against the incumbent with messages on his truck. New Orleans arrested Wyland Bailey on terrorism charges after he made a zombie joke on Facebook about police response to COVID. Again, Texas. Oh, Justice Pulliam. He's arrested for filming police encounters because he posted these videos on his YouTube channel. Now, I know of Justin Pulliam. I'm not a huge fan of him, but he's not, I just don't like his style somewhat. But he there's a guy by the name of Jeff Gray, Honor Your Oath channel. He gets arrested or threatened with arrest probably about at least once a month. Lately, Mississippi has not been very kind to him. A lot of these smaller governments here, they go after people who disagree with them. And I know I said it's the left shredding the Constitution, but there are some Republicans out there doing it because it's people who are in power. Um, Here's the next one that I was wanting to show. Make sure that this popped up on stream. No, it did not. I'm glad I double checked. We all saw what happened in Loudoun County. And I've said this before too. If anything come good out of COVID and the lockdowns, it was parents actually got a chance to see what happened within our school boards and within the school districts and within the individual schools and by what the teachers were actually teaching and saying. And the power some of these teachers and schools thought they had over our children. Remember, there was a principal that sent the police out to a student's home because they saw I want to say it was a BB gun on the wall behind them in their bedroom. And the principal said, well, since he was in our Zoom classroom, therefore his bedroom at that point was school property. Therefore, he brought a firearm onto school property. Therefore, he needs to be arrested. What utter nonsense is that? What stretch of a then have the damn cops go with it. All right, this extremist group calls itself a parental rights organization. We can already tell how this is going. Moms for Liberty, and this is a group that's popped up since because of the COVID. This group, and they popped up because they saw what was going on. This group has been behind the drastic increase and book banning attempts. Once again, there's no such thing as a book ban in this country. You can buy any book you want to buy. There is no such thing. And every time I read this, every time I see this, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it until the people up in the cheap seats understand it. There is no such thing as a book ban. All there is books that will not be allowed to be put into the schools, libraries at taxpayer expense because they are not age appropriate for the children. Influence local leaders to implement anti-LGBTQ policies. There should not be any there should be no LGBTQ policies. Period. The kids can be kids. If you got a tallywhacker, you go into the bathroom and the shower room and the locker room designated for those with the tallywhacker. If you got a hoo-ha, you go into the bathrooms, locker rooms, shower rooms, dressing rooms with other children who have hoo-ha. If you got a hoo-ha, you don't have a tallywhacker. If you got a tallywhacker, you're not a person who was born with a hoo-ha. It's that simple. So Moms for Liberty is under file here. This is the Huffington Post, by the way. So, okay. Da, 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 da. Ariel Frankel, a public school teacher who founded the Pennsylvania chapter of the opposition group Stop Moms for Liberty. Boy, such a original name, but okay. That's saying exactly what they want to say. Felt she had no choice but get involved in school politics once she saw Moms for Liberty agenda. I didn't get into this until I started messing with books and trying to discriminate against LGBTQ community and whitewashing history. They want to destroy everything good about schools. No, what they're trying to do is get schools back into teaching what they're supposed to be teaching, preparing children, getting them educated, reading, writing, and arithmetic. You don't teach, I mean, again, having kids learn about sexual positions and everything else is not part of your reading curriculum. It's not part of mathematics. It's not part of American history. It's not a part of sociology. It's not a part of science. All right. It's not up to the teachers to tell a kid whether or not they're trans or to be their secret mentor. In at least 3 school districts, Moms for Liberty is attempting to take over school boards. Yes, they're not the only organization trying to take back the school boards from the far left. They're not trying. The Democrats and the far leftists have controlled school boards for so long that they have controlled everything for so long that they've any any attempt to bring it back to normalcy is viewed as a right wing takeover. That okay. Look, I've got 7 tabs open. There's no reason for you to be acting this way, computer. Okay, I'm back. I just lost everything on my screen. I lost everything. All my I mean my whole everything shut down on me. If that isn't strange as hell. I've got to get this thing into a computer store and and have diagnostics ran on it, see what the hell's going on. I'm back, but I've lost all my tabs. Okay, so I guess what I'll do now. All right, since I lost all my tabs and all my examples and all the work that I had put into it this morning, I guess I'm just going to fly from the seat of my pants on this. Guys, what are your opinions on this? Tell you what, let me put an invite into. All right, anybody that wants to pop on here, pop on. Let's see if I can host something here for a little bit. All right, there's the link. Anybody wants to pop on retro, tire, nil, go ahead and pop in. And uh and the revisionist history just isn't working here in the United States. Do you realize the revisionist history we're seeing going on in Israel right now? Yeah, that's right. You are at work, aren't you, Tyra? That's right. You're only good. Oh, wait a minute. I thought you said Mondays and Tuesdays were good days for you. All right. No, I'm don't think I'm not gonna be able to on Friday, Tyra. Friday's not a good day for that. Okay. Um Look at how the media and I saw an ad this morning by a doctor claiming to work with Doctors Without Borders, ranting and raving about how because Israel has shut down the internet and power and water to Gaza, how they're responsible for the deaths of people, how they're responsible for medical procedures not being able to be correctly done, yada, 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 yada. It's like, wait a minute here. None of this would have been happening if Hamas had not attacked Israel and killed, raped, murdered, burnt alive, and shot people on October 7th. It has not even been a month yet. It has not even been a month yet and they're already rewriting history pretending October 7th never happened. You got Congress critters, Talib out there chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And trying to say, well, they didn't realize that it meant what they thought it meant, that love and peace will rule. Not that, she doesn't think it meant that the extinction of the Israel and all Jewish people. That's it's like Bowman's. Well, I thought by pulling this fire alarm handle, I would get the door to open up. It's unbelievable the revisionist history that's already happening. The leftist complaint, some Congress critters, some House members submitted a bill basically to reinforce that anybody who is in the United States on a visa or is not a naturalized citizen can be deported at any time. They can have their visa revoked and be deported at any time for any reason the government feels is necessary. And when you are out there supporting, and part of the law, I read the law last week. I think it was last week. Yeah, it's last week since this is Monday. I read you the law last week that supporting a terrorist organization is reason to be deported, to have your visa revoked. Doesn't matter if it's a work visa or student visa or what kind of visa, to have your visa revoked and immediately removed from the country. But the Democrats they're trying to say we have to kick every Palestinian supporter out of the country. No. For now, it's just the ones that are here on visas. And if you're out there supporting Hamas, only one person, I lost my videos too. Only one person was arrested for the attack on the White House grounds the other day, over the weekend. One person. And how many thousands of dollars of damage did they do to public property? You had people attempting to scale the fence, and only one person was arrested. You had people who scaled the fence and jumped into the grounds, and only one person was arrested. Will the FBI, DHS, Secret Service put the time and effort into tracking down all those protesters and arresting them like they did the people from January 6th? Are they going to put in that kind of effort? I'm surprised you even had that many up there, Retro. But no, what are, there is a book popped up on my Amazon list this morning that I was looking at, and I wish I could, and I'm by Noam Chomsky and someone else that I'm looking into buying. It's a fairly expensive book, about $26. Uh, Media and the Propaganda War, I believe, is the title of it. And I'm looking at buying this. Okay, here we go. It's Noam Chomsky, Media Control: The Spectacular Achievements of Propaganda. That popped up in my thing this morning, and I'm thinking about buying that to add to my list of journalist books that that I can reference back and forth to exactly how our our media spins everything. And remember, most people, they're not like you. They're not like you guys. They're not like me. They spend time out here looking at what is going on. They sit down, and that's because, honestly, oh, he is. Chomsky is a left winger. Okay. Oh, he's definitely a far lefter. There's no doubts about it. Um, Another book that I've got is oh cripes. I'm trying to remember Goldberg. Uh and not Lee Goldberg. Goldberg. The I want to say his first name began with a J, and it's not Jonas. I don't have the book with on out here with me right now, but he used to be a CBS reporter. And he wrote a book, oh, probably 20 some years ago, dealing with the spin that the journalists. And one of the things he pointed to was during the Clinton uh, impeachment trial. Every Republican, when it was in the Senate to the trial itself, not the impeachment, but at the trial itself, every Republican was referred to as right wing, conservative, ultra conservative. Those kind of labels was thrown onto every Republican that was introduced. But when they brought in like Teddy Kennedy, it was the lion of the Senate. There were no uh, they the they didn't throw negative labels on any of the Democrats when they were brought in, no matter how far to the left they were. And I I don't read books written only by authors that I agree with or whose politics I agree with. And that, I want, like I said, on this book with Chomsky, I want to look a little bit more, before I spend 20 some odd dollars on a book. Um, I want to look a little bit more into it to see what it's got into it and uh, how good of a reference material it makes. But the reason why I'm saying this is not everybody has got time to sit down and read and watch what's and compare what's going on. Um, a large number of American citizens still gets all their news from the evening news on ABC, NBC, CNN, and MSNBC. or even people get their news now, with Fox News, and they believe what they're told. Now, granted, that number is dropping. That's why the media is in such the news media is in such dire straits about what to do, because the whole thing is dropping. The number of people watching these are going down. The number of people reading the New York Times, their subscription base is dropping. That's why they're, $1 a week for the first 6 months of the year, and then $25 a month after that for subscription to the New York Times for a digital version. Or you go to a news aggregator and while you've read 8 stories this year, so you can't read any more stories by this newspaper. I'm not saying news should be free. I mean, these news outlets, they've got to pay the reporters. They've got their bills they got to pay, and they do have to turn a profit. I'm just a little bit pickier with where I spend my money like that, because I don't want to see my money going to support people I know are lying to me every week or every day. But anyhow, man, I'm mad that I lost all my tabs. I lost everything I had open, because uh see if I can get anything back. Let's see if there's anything here I can find. Ah, okay, yes, I know Hillary hugged Arafat. Well, where's the stuff that I, I know I tweeted some stuff. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, here is an article I found that, all right, I'm just going to have to pull this one up. This is one I had planned on, I'd done for later on, but there's a guy wrote an article, Richard Hanania, Hanania. Title of his article is Hitler, Demi Moore, and Other Pedophiles. Let me pull this article up. Share this. There's a lot of stupidity in public discourse, most of it not worth paying attention to. But once in a while, it's kind of stupidity that's so grotesque that its very existence to any substantive degree tells us something about our culture. Let me go ahead and copy this link and throw it in the chat. In late December, a right-wing account with nearly 16,000 followers posted a video of a young adult, Demi Moore, making out with a 15-year-old boy. It went viral now I love what his definition is of viral here. 8,000 likes and 4,000 retweets. The account followed up the following day with the poll that whether or not there was something wrong with the actress did. Uh, you know, A 15-year-old boy should not be, or 15-year-old girl should not be in a lovemaking scene with anybody. Nearly two-thirds of the participants said that there was something wrong with what they did. Many of the replies and the quote tweets referred to Moore as a pedophile. What shocked me into doing a long rambling thread about this managed to combine the stupid fascistic impulses of the right with the stupidest feminist arguments that exist on the left. I'm sorry, I just think it's wrong for a 15-year-old to be making out with an adult. I don't care, boy, girl. Either way, it's wrong. No 15-year-old should be involved in the sexual uh, encounter with an adult. Now, I'm just going by their description here. Okay. But it leads me to believe it was more than just a quick kiss. But the article goes on again to say in 2017, Bill Maher was accused of defending pedophilia for 90s, speaking out against a teacher going to jail after having been impregnated by one of her students. Well, and not just in 2017, but in 2021, 2022, even in 2023, we've got teachers, female teachers, getting pregnant by male students. We seem to be having a lot more female teachers having sexual activities with male students. And it really makes me wonder, you know, ever since the who was it? Mary Kay Latrino, something like that. She was the first one to get national uh, headlines for it. Was this something that's just popped up in the past 20 years, or has a female teachers been making it with male students and they just gotten away with it all these times? Well, young adult, okay. See, I don't even know what movie it was. I wish I'd even said what movie it was. So, um, I'm just going off the fly on this one here. Let me do a quick Google here. Demi Moore uh, movie making out with child. Okay. Okay, Demi Moore, according to this, she was 19 years old. And let's see. There we go. Shut that audio off. Let's see. According to this, is she was 19 years old. The boy was 15. Um. Okay. Oh, this is his 15th birthday party. And this is when he turned 15. All right. It wasn't a party. I mean, it wasn't a movie scene. Here we go. So, yeah, she was at a birthday party for the young man. His 15th birthday party, she was 19, and she's just locking lips with him. Okay, here we go. Here's the actual video itself. Okay, here we go.
Okay, one more time.
Okay, yeah, that young boy was over the rainbow. So, yeah, would that be a major cause if it was a 19-year-old boy man, a young 19-year-old, say Kurt Russell, and a 15-year-old girl? Hmm, that's interesting. Ah, come on. So, but anyway, one of the things here this guy's going into is this boys can't. The article itself, where is it here? Okay, the idea that teenage boys can be victimized by older women, like the demand that men only can be attracted to women of their own age, can only exist in a culture in which many aspects of heterosexuality are repressed, if not demonized. We've got to have an age limit that if somebody's below this age, you can't be sitting there twisting tongues with them and groping bodies. Now, I admit I did not. I had not even planned on talking about this, so I hadn't had this particular article. I had not had so I hadn't read the whole article. That's why I retweeted it, so I could look into it more, look into it later on, and decide how much I wanted to get into it. I still don't see how anybody can sit there and say, though, that a 15-year-old and even a 25-year-old or a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old should be having sexual contact without it being wrong. Again, do we let 15-year-olds get tattoos? I mean, I should have left that story alone. I'll be honest. Let's let's just until I had a chance to sit there and read into it some more. Anyway, well, this one here has flown off. This stream has flown off the handle again. I'm wondering how many tabs I'm allowed to have open before my computer starts dumping on me. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one now because, like I said, I lost all my tabs, so I lost everything that I had available that I planned on talking. 19 isn't 25, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet laws aren't those, okay, going off the top of my head there, retro. Romeo and Juliet laws, that's, a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old were dating, da da da, everything's fine. Then the 17-year-old turns 18. They're now a legal adult. You know, it was it was legal on Monday and all of a sudden become illegal on Tuesday because the guy had a birthday. That's where the uh, Romeo and Juliet laws come into effect, isn't it? I mean, I remember when I first come back from Germany, and three of us rented a house, and the neighbor guy come over and had his family living next to us. Mom and dad looked to be in their late 50s. They look more like grandma and grandpa than mom and dad. Then they're a young man about our age, early 20s. Then there's a young lady. And when I first met her, I figured her to be 18, 19, 20 years old, right about that age range. Then I found out she was still in high school, so I figured, okay, she's a senior in high school, no problem. But still in high school, so I'm, not going to mess with her. Uh, Brother come over one day. We'd been there about a week. Brother come over and says, "Oh, by the way, just to let you know, my little sister, yeah, she just turned 15, or no, she just turned 16 a couple weeks ago." Oh, okay. Thanks for letting us know. Because she definitely looked, like I said, she could have easily passed for a 20-year-old. So, and after having a friend of mine in Germany end up being sent to Leavenworth, picked up a young lady at the NCO club. Turned out she was a full bird colonel's daughter. She was only 16 years old, but she was in the NCO club drinking. And he ended up in Leavenworth, but he got caught mid stroke. So, literally got caught mid stroke. I should have left that article alone, I'm going to be honest. There's been a lot of articles out here. Demi Moore's reemerged showing the 19-year-old actress kissing her 15-year-old male co-star. People are cringing. People are horrified. 1982, God, 1982. That's years and years and years ago. Damn, Moore was 19 and 1982. Damn. So I'm going to be, hopefully, I'll have better luck with my computer tomorrow. I want to wish everybody a good day. I'm going to take my computer into expert and have him look at today and see what's going on. That's going to be my plan. See if I can get this into a shop today and have it looked at. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. I'll try to be back tomorrow.